to the heart of innovation. This is Opportunities to Consider with your host, author, speaker, and corporate strategist, Hunter Gaylor.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Market Hunters March Madness Update. This is great. We've got an incredible show coming to you live, and I have to tell you, we're very excited about what we're talking about. This is PETV. We've got several people here that we're going to be talking about. I actually just saw a lot of our guests join in live. I've got Dr. Deanne, amazing veterinarian, associate professor. I've got Dr. Ann, and I actually have a special guest, John, who is the CEO of PETV. He's actually joining us live too. He's in the green room, so we're going to bring him all in. And you'll see today is an easy day because, you know, this is a relaxing conversation. I've got my cat running around here, which we just got, which is great. So she'll probably make a guest appearance here, which is great. But without any speculation here, there's been a lot of news with PETV. We've seen the stock, we've seen everything that's going on, but we really want to talk about what it means for the market, what it means for the industry. We saw a lot of the rules coming out. We saw a lot of the regulation coming out. We saw a lot of news coming out. Obviously, in the equestrian community, it's huge. But what we're talking about today from a veterinarian perspective, dogs, cats, where this looks at for an entire industry. So I'm actually going to bring in our guest now. I'm going to bring in Dr. Deanne. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. So glad to have you here. And I'm actually going to also bring in Dr. Ann. Dr. Ann, thank you for joining us as well. And our special guest, John. John is actually joining us as well. So John, how are you?
I was having technical issues here at the hotel, but figured it out at the last second.
You know what? This is great. This is listen, this is a live show. This is what we do. We work out the technicalities. It's great. But John, you've surrounded yourself by great expertise. That's one of the main things that the Market Hunters platform looks like. We're obviously growing. We've got hundreds of thousands of people that are now following us on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. So our channel is growing tremendously. But we really just want to dive in deep to, John, some of the stuff that's going on. And obviously we have a lot of our colleagues here today, Dr. Deanne and Dr. Ann. I want to start with Dr. Deanne for a second. Obviously, you are a big fan of PETV. You're obviously involved in the company. Tell us what drove you to, have a passion about PETV. Why are you working with the company? Give us some of your insight as to, some of the growth mechanisms that are happening.
So thank you for having us. I really am very excited about PETV. I mean, just the innovation is tremendous and what it's bringing to our profession. Pain, I believe, is the number one misdiagnosed problem in veterinary medicine altogether. And so this is really a revolutionary way to treat pain. And so we're really, really lucky to have this new technology. With arthritis and other medications that are available today, we're mainly covering up pain. We aren't actually treating the underlying cause for the pain, and we're not actually getting into those joints and changing what could possibly be happening inside the joint. So that's the beautiful thing about spraying osteocushion, is that it's actually putting a natural substance into the joint as a device that actually addresses the underlying problem. It creates a cushion. It creates a different approach to our multimodal natural approach to treating our osteoarthritis in our pets.
So with that being said, Dr. Deanne, what was it that really drove you or kind of led you to be a big fan of the product?
Well, I'm a huge fan of innovation in general. I like to help see things start. I like being at the bottom and working up and helping build amazing products. And I really think that this product has incredible amount of potential for our whole profession, not just for osteoarthritis. So I'm really excited about it.
Now paralleling that, Dr. Ann, okay, you obviously have a passion about pets, right? I can say that, passion about pets. You've got a library full of books, right? Which I'm sure is fully about pets. Tell us about what, similar to Dr. Deanne, what led you to be a big advocate of this, and why are you working so closely with PetVivo, and where do you see this going? I mean, obviously you're passionate about it, so we really want to get the technical details as to why, you feel that this is the big game-changing technology in the industry.
Thank you, Hunter, and thanks for having me on today. I have been in veterinary medicine for more years than I care to admit. In fact, I'm still practicing veterinary medicine once a week at the same clinic that I started at after I graduated from veterinary school, and got involved with PetVivo through a friend. Actually started asking some questions about giving intra-articular injections and how to convince veterinarians to try this new innovation, to be willing to proceed with intra-articular injections. And the thing that has truly convinced me of the innovative background of Spryng is using it in my own dog. I don't know how much you want me to go on and talk about my own dog, but of course that's something that we're especially passionate about.
No, I think you should talk about that. I think it's very important. I mean, because this really is I don't want to take the tagline and say it's a family company. I'm sure another company has that tagline, but I mean, in talking with John and seeing a lot of the, the developments and things that have come out, it really is. I mean, pets are a member of the family, and we've seen, and John, I don't know if you want to jump in here based on some of the statistics, but after COVID and this global pandemic, actually pets have been increasing the family size. Technically, when you look at it from a statistics perspective, so yeah, absolutely, it's part of the family. So continue, Dr. Ann.
All right, thank you. Well, of course, being a veterinarian, we took an oath to protect animals, animal health, and thereby humans as well. So that brings in my own dog, Scuba, who actually is a cancer survivor. When I learned about Spryng, he actually had been through chemo for lymphoma and was in remission and doing well enough that he was running around and injured his knee. He has a partial cruciate tear. So then enter in PetVivo and the opportunity to try this product firsthand, and he seemed like a perfect candidate for multiple reasons. So I injected his knee, and it's actually been 21 months since I injected his knee. Part of the reason that I wanted to try this product with him is that I didn't feel he made a good surgical candidate since he was in remission. I didn't want to do anything that could potentially push him out of remission, like putting him through a surgery and that sort of thing. And I saw the benefit with the Spryng within a week or two, as far as return to activity and that sort of thing. And within about 3 to 4 weeks of that injection, I was able to completely discontinue the pain medications that he needed in order to function on a daily basis, which is one of the, I'd say, distinctive advantages of Spryng, is that we are cushioning that joint, providing lubrication and mimicking the articular cartilage. And through that process, like Diane said, we're helping with the underlying pain. And then hopefully we can avoid some of the other analgesics and things that our pets might otherwise rely on. And also, these products are expensive and can potentially affect health, especially given long term to our animals.
So Dr. Ann, that's an incredible piece of information you've just given us. I want to parallel the question over to Dr. Deanne. Given your medical expertise,
Dr. Diane, by the way.
I'm sorry?
It's Dr. Diane.
Diane, you know what? I'm sorry. I can't even read my own handwriting. I should be a doctor. I can't even read my own handwriting, right? So, Dr. Deanne, as a veterinarian, as an associate professor, talk to us a little bit about your experience with using the Spring product. Talk to us a little bit about your experience with Pet Vivo as a company in general. I just want to parallel it based on Dr. Ann's, testimony, if you will, given her own animal and her own pet that she's dealt with. What I really want to know is from your professional opinion, what are some of the key driving factors that separates this product from any other product out there?
All right, so let's talk about the other products that are out there.
Sure.
Right. So most of the products that are out there today are medications, right? We have what we usually do to approach osteoarthritis or arthritis in general is a multimodal approach, we call it. So we'll try pain medications, we'll try physical therapy, we'll try joint supplements orally, we'll try non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Sometimes we have to go over to steroids for pain relief, and we can do other adjunctive care like rehab and acupuncture, things like that. But none of these things actually address the underlying problem, which is bone on bone, right? Cartilage that's and bone that are rubbing on each other in a very dysfunctional way, causing pain. And so the beauty of this is that we don't have to use oral medications that could potentially have side effects. We don't have to be limited in which medications we can use. We can use fewer modalities if we can get Spring or the osteo cushion to work well inside those joints. And that's what it does. It doesn't just mask the disease. It actually nurtures the joint. It provides a cushion, and it decreases the progression of the disease. Because remember, when we're using a medication like a pain medication, we're not changing what's going on in the joint. So when we get injections and like steroid injections or other types of medications, the damage is still being done in the joint, right? There's still bone on bone, and there's still other destructive processes going on. And that's the other beautiful thing about Spring, is that we now don't have continuation of that destructive process. Now we actually have a cushion and a possibility for healing to occur and to avoid the damage that keeps happening when we just mask pain by giving other kinds of medications.
So that's an incredible articulation of the power of this, product that Pet Vivo has come up with. I want to turn over to John. John, pain is obviously something that's talked about a lot in this industry, right? And when we look at the way that it's being administered and it's a simple shot, we just heard from two leading veterinarian, specialists that actually are able to, administer this type of drug, or healing. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, it's so hard because it's such a new phenomenon that's coming out that, this is a pain. We look at it assuming that we know, based on the conversations we've had, John, about the company, assuming we know it's safe in humans, okay, because of the way the company started, and it doesn't change the blood chemistry, which we know already exists, right? We know this just based on the start of the company. It would clearly work for humans, and based that you're building out your manufacturing and you're building out all of these things. This is a big deal. If I'm an athlete and I run a lot, if I tear my Achilles heel, that's terrible. If I can just simply do a shot, and we're hearing from two leading, women in industry that are telling us that pain is a major issue. What does this do for the overall industry, John? This is a serious game changer when we look at it. Wouldn't you agree with me?
Well, yes. So if you look at the other 6 studies we have coming out probably within the next 10 months, it all leads to give supporting evidence to that this product will be disrupting the industry from both the animal standpoint as well as the human standpoint. The Khrushchev study that just came out gives a very good indication of how beneficial the Spring particles are in situations where it would be similar to a human tearing its ACL. And Ann and Diane can talk a lot more about the statistics from the study and what that really means than I can. But when you extrapolate other studies that are coming out, it supports to the overall strategy that we can address on the human side the osteoarthritis market, which is about a 240 billion worldwide market, and that's just for osteoarthritis area. So there are multiple other things that the spring particles can do, and so we're really having the ability to expand the TAM way beyond what is existing today.
And John, I do want to talk about that, and I think it's important because from Dr. Ann's perspective, I mean she has a pet. She's talking about this. I want to get both of your feedback on what John just said. Can you talk a little bit about what that means from a practical application standpoint and what that means for the company?
Sure, I'll go ahead. So we've been putting together several studies over the last year and a half or more, and we're actually very fortunate to have had an abstract presented just a few days ago at the Veterinary Orthopedic Society. And we had a young doctor, an emerging veterinarian, present the data on cohort 1 of a study looking at using this novel particulate in the knee joint with a cruciate ligament injury. And they did not distinguish between a complete or a partial tear. So what that means is if you have a dog that has totally torn the cruciate ligament, there's going to be a change in mechanics in that joint. There's going to be a lot of mechanical instability. And spring in that instance will be beneficial, but it's not going to change the mechanics of the joint. However, if you have a partial cruciate tear and you've got that ligament is still partially intact, then that's where we'll really see the benefit of spring, the cushioning effect, that bioscaffold effect, and the lubricating effect. The data supports what we've been seeing in practice, what we've been seeing in the field over years, and we also have some studies undergoing to look at other applications of spring as well.
So with that being said, I just want to pass the question over to your distinguished colleague. What is your view on the product?
So I think what the study really did show, it surveyed, it looked at a lot of different ways to assess pain, and it really did show that it not only by people's perception, but also scientifically, it being able to show that these animals really did respond really well to this treatment for cruciate tears. And now most of the time cruciate ligament ruptures are surgical problems. And so as Dr. Ann said, we're not going to repair a complete tear, but a partial tear, which also is doesn't always need surgery, but is still particularly painful. This abstract, this research showed that it actually is extremely effective, scientifically speaking. And so that's just a really great finding for this product. And it just shows that it's not going to just work in this joint. This is the only joint study that's actually been published recently, but it really will work, and the same mechanism will work in other joints as well.
So with that being said, John, I just want to take a question back to you real quick from a corporate perspective, because this is Market Hunters and our platform does look at obviously the trading of the stock and the growth of the marketplace. And you and I have had several conversations on what this means for the overall growth of the marketplace. This is obviously, and I know a lot of people, they criticize me for using the term game changing a lot, right? I'm always game changing. It's game changing technology. But in this particular case, and we do have a special guest here who's going to stop in and say hello, right? This is our little Margot. Hi, Margot. She's fine. She's a little newborn. But I will say from a market perspective, John, when we look at the overall market application for this, it seems to me that based on the price point, based on the actual recovery time, based on the fact that we're actually saving people money from putting something under. And maybe this is a question that goes back to, the ladies that are on the call
They're
here.
veterinarians.
The veterinarians. Well, I mean, not just veterinarians, but industry experts, because at the end of the day, what I'm looking at is something, if I have to put something down, and this is a simple injection, and I don't have to have some sort of, anesthesiology, or I'm putting something down like that's traumatic for a lot of the consumers out there, right? So if it's a simple injection, I mean, this really, to me, seems like this is the future for where, veterinarian medicine is going. Would you agree, John?
So I know there's some